Ms. Goodwin, Congress appropriated, I believe, $300 million for the Bureau of Prisons to deal with COVID. Can you tell us how this money's been spent?
So we are actually have been in the process of trying to examine all of that. We've submitted some requests to BOP to kind of ask, for a layout, a detailed listing of, kind of what those monies have gone to. So what I will do, Congressman, I will circle back to you.
Okay.
I'll get back to you. I'll connect with your staff and I'll get back to you on that.
Appreciate that. When you look into it, look in to see if they bought some walk-through FDA-approved COVID killers and if those are working. Because I think some of that money may have been spent on things that didn't work out. And one concern that I also have is an understaffed jail is a dangerous jail, or same for a prison. And Congress funds a certain number of correctional officers every year. Can you tell us whether they've recruited and retained the number of correctional officers that Congress has funded?
So first, in terms of the funding that they have and things that they purchase, I want to go back, and we know that they purchase masks and other supplies. So, but the other stuff, I will circle back to you because we have a request out for that information. Secondly, in terms of recruiting and hiring and retaining, that came up when we were doing the BOP staffing report. They have started to recruit. They have started to recruit additional officers. What we don't know, because that report was about a year or two ago, is how successful they've been, and particularly if they've been successful in this era of COVID. But what I can do, Congressman, I can circle back to you on that as well. I can reach out to BOP to see what information we can get for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, I'd like you to look into reports that I've received from officers, correctional officers, that when they identify COVID positive inmates, they walk them through the compound, thereby possibly exposing everybody else, and then sending them to isolation units. And they may not be getting, that may not be the best idea to lock a bunch of sick men together and to walk them through the facility and around the facility in the process of doing that. Could you look into that and see if that's been the policy at some of these correctional facilities?
We can certainly look into that. I will tell you that when we were doing the BOP COVID work, and we spoke with union officials and others representing the officers, and that was one of the concerns. So I will certainly see what we can find out for you.
All right, thank you very much. I want to take a little bit of time and point out that the officers that work in these correctional facilities have a vaccine mandate, yet the inmates do not. And so the irony here is that the inmates have more rights than the officers themselves. There are correctional officers and staff in a facility in my congressional district who applied and were just categorically denied medical exemptions. Nobody's been granted a medical exemption. Were able to receive 52 of them religious exemptions, and 4,495 staff at the BOP have received religious exemptions. But I think it's a shame that they have to apply for religious exemptions when what they want is a medical exemption. We have failed to recognize natural immunity. And I want to submit to the record something that just came out from the CDC. It's dated January 19th. COVID cases and hospitalizations by COVID-19 vaccination status and previous COVID diagnosis. What it shows is that prior COVID infection was more protective than vaccination during the Delta surge. Yet the guards aren't having their prior infection immunity recognized. So I think that's a problem. So I'd like to submit to the record, Madam Chairwoman, the MMWR report from CDC showing that natural immunity was better than the vaccine, and then also a Reuters article that highlights that.
Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman's
Congressman
time
Massie, has the time expired? I did have one more thing.
Thank you,
When we spoke to the union officials, we didn't hear anything about them walking sick inmates through the compounds. We did hear concerns about just having a large number of sick people in any one location.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. That's what I'm hearing too. And Madam Chairwoman, I hope that we do get correctional officers in the next hearing because we want to hear from the front line what's really happening.
Gentlemen.